Welcome back to Ideas Spotlight here on Beyond the Brick. I'm Joshua Hanlon, and today I'm happy to have Jeff joining me to talk with Brickhammer about some of his amazing LEGO Ideas projects. And before we launch on in here, I want to thank CloneArmyCustoms.com for helping make these live streams possible. You can check out all of their fantastic products at CloneArmyCustoms.com and find a link to their website in the description below. I also want to thank my friend Jeff for joining me on today's stream. So for any of you who watch our quarantine cast here on Beyond the Brick, Jeff is a regular attendee of those. And he and I are both big fans of the work that Brickhammer has done with his ideas projects. So we wanted to chat with him together today. So Jeff, it's great to have you on board.
It's fantastic to be here. It's even better to have Brickhammer here to talk about his awesome projects that are just mind-blowing.
That's right. And Brickhammer, thank you so much for joining us as well. We'll start with some of your current projects that people can go out and support right now, and then we'll move into some of your projects that have already reached 10,000 votes and talk about those as well. But this first project is something that's near and dear to my heart, which is LEGO Western. My all-time favorite theme from LEGO is the Western theme. I grew up with these sets, just some incredible sets here. And I think this design harkens back really nicely to some of those original designs. So why don't you tell us about kind of the inspiration for building LEGO Western sets for you and why you decided to tackle this project for Ideas?
Yeah, sure. So I thought maybe Goldmine would be like the perfect fit for a new Western set because it captures all those classic Western fantasies, because we had saloons, we had like a sheriff's office, but like in many iconic movies and TV series, you have gold mines, because they capture just so many different aspects of the Western feel. There are historic examples of gold mines, and then you have all those like bandits hiding in gold mines and stuff like that as a classic Western story element.
Now, I think this set here reminds me of a Goldmine set from the official Western theme. So was there an official set that was kind of an inspiration for this that you were kind of updating in a way, or how did that work?
Yes, you're 100% correct. So there was the Goldmine Hideout. I think I even referenced it in the project's description, which was a rather small mine with a shed above it and bandits hiding there. And I even tried to make one of the minifigs look a bit like one of the classic Lego bandits. So I tried to improve it, make it a bit bigger, and also use a bit more sophisticated building techniques, especially with the Rockwork, and expand the whole idea of a bandit's hideout.
The thing that I noticed about this is that you call it a gold mine, and there's the guy outside panning, but I love the fact that there's a dude in here printing money, and that's the real gold mine right there. So these guys are just counterfeiters, and you got like the lookout on the outside who's like, this miner 49er, that's me mining this gold. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I wanted to combine both, like the bandit thing with the actual gold mining, and as you said, it's like a double meaning, because for the bandits, it's a gold mine as well.
Mm-hmm. That's dope. That's great.
And you mentioned the Rockwork there, which is certainly one of the things that catches your eye when you first look at this build. It looks rather complex. Do you think, is there any concern that this is too complex for an official set? If this was turned into a set, would LEGO have to adjust this to kind of appeal to a broader audience, or do you think people could handle that building?
Well, building technique-wise, it's not that hard, but it takes a lot of pieces. So that might be a reason why LEGO would choose to reduce or to make it less complex. So just reduce the number of pieces. But it's actually not that hard to build, because it's just a stud on the side construction. It's just different panels. I put it angles with hinges. But it took me quite some time to get the shape right, and I think I did pretty well. And this was the first time I did Rockwork on a big project, and I later did it on my castle as well. And I think that turned out even better.
Yeah, the Rockwork is really amazing. I love the detail that you have, like up the mountain, as it were, with the bridge and the crane and the water bucket and everything else. It looks good. It does remind me of, like you both mentioned, the set from back in the day of that Western set. It's a nice upgrade, and with the way that Ideas is going with upgrading older sets, the blacksmith shop, etc. I I hope this hits 10K, and I hope that I can, display this proudly, because this thing looks awesome.
Yeah, with most of my projects, I try to combine both playability and display value, because I am an adult, but I'm fully aware that Lego is mainly a children's toy, so I try to combine both of these aspects, even though this set would probably be too pricey for the average 10-year-old.
That's very true, but dudes my age, we got the money. So, anything to hit that nostalgia vein.
Yeah, and in most of my... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Most of my projects, nostalgia is a big factor, because I myself am very nostalgic, and I... especially because I did not have that many Lego bricks when I was younger. So now that I'm older, I start dreaming and start building stuff that I would have loved to build as a child. And this way, I try to relive my lost Lego childhood, especially because there was a big dark age between age 12 and 25 or so, where I didn't build any Lego. But then the pandemic struck, and I had lots of time, so I bought the Barracuda Bay, and this kickstarted my A-fold life.
Oh, I was just going to say that the Barracuda Bay is a great example of what you were talking about there with, the nostalgia idea and just kind of almost updating old sets in a way. So I think Lego is definitely showing that they're willing to do this, and I think it'd be great to see more of it. So for everyone watching, you can go support the Goldmine on Ideas right now. We'll have a link to that in the description. And then I wanted to move to another project that is actually available to be supported right now from Brickhammer. And that is his Stagecoach design. And so this is another Western, kind of sticking with the Western theme here, which, again, I'm a big fan of. This is his Legorado Stagecoach. So when you were designing this, was it to go along kind of with the Goldmine idea, or were these separate ideas that just happened to work together and be on the platform at the same time for you?
Well, in a way, I want to do another Western set, but since there's a Bricklink saloon, I think, I didn't want to do a saloon. And there was also the, what was it called, the Bricklink, it's called the Brickwest Studio by Brick. So I didn't want to go that way, so I chose a Stagecoach. And I originally wanted to include the same minifigures that I did in the Goldmine to make it a continuous story. But for some reason, I wasn't allowed to include more than 4 minifigs with a set that small, so I had to downscale a bit. But yes.
This is such a nicely detailed design. It's not a real massive build by any means, but you still are able to pack in a lot of great details. I like the colors with this, so it's not just kind of like an all brown or kind of a one color look. You've got that gold and the red there with it. And then you're even able to fit minifigs inside, right? So it's got that playability factor to it. Right, it seats
4 minifigs, and yeah, I looked at lots of pictures of historic stagecoaches, and they were all pretty bright. So I thought that was actually pretty fitting, because again, Lego is a children's toy, so why not make it super bright? And I think it turned out quite well.
It did, that's for sure. That would fit right in with Fort Legorado, like Joshua was saying, and just that whole town setup that came out during that era. That would just be like a natural part of it. It would outshine the rest of it due to how basic it was back in the day. But this would look great with a retrofitted Western town. It's just awesome, man. Everything you do is gold. Hope you know that.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem.
I really appreciate it. And then I realized that there actually had been a Lego Stagecoach 5 years or so for the Lone Rangers theme, but I wasn't aware of that when I built this one. And I think the Lone Ranger one is a bit darker and a bit more geared to adults, or at least to fans of the Lone Ranger franchise. So I'm quite happy that mine is a bit more child-friendly, but still has a lot of display value.
It's funny that you bring up the Lone Ranger, because that was our last Western thing. And the movie was a flop, but the sets were amazing from it. It's like the designers themselves were like, "Oh, we get to design Western stuff. Yeah, we'll make sure that we have time to own the Lone Ranger in there. Don't worry." And then we got beautiful Western sets. But yeah, man, this is just the detailing that you put on it. The fact that you didn't shy away from just going all out with it. It's great. it's perfect. The fact that it holds all those minifigures is awesome. Like, I want to build a mock of this set or add it to a mock with, like, you know, some bandits riding up on it and the guy riding the shotgun, you know, living out to his name. That'd just be great.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I love the luggage you've got on top there and everything, so I think you just captured the look very nicely. So these two designs go very well together, so everyone watching, if you go over and support these, support both of them, and then we can get this whole Western theme going again, because we really need that, and I think it'd make for some really awesome, incredible sets here, and I just think they're so cool. So go help lend your support to this, and help Brickhammer get both of these to 10,000 votes. Now I wanted to transition to a couple of projects that already have 10,000 votes from you, but are super, super impressive. So I wanted to kind of get your design thoughts on them and get some more feedback from you. The first one we'll cover is the Steampunk Airship idea. And this was the design that I know for me, and I think maybe also for Jeff, was the first design that I think introduced us to your work and really caught our eye, because this is just such a unique, cool design here. So start off by telling us kind of about your inspiration for this project and what led to a steampunk airship for you.
Well, yes. One thing, I think you talked about one of my earlier projects as well, the Viking Village on one of your live streams, which is also in review at the moment. Yeah, this one was a bit weird because I just woke up one day and decided to build a steampunk airship, because I think the whole steampunk aesthetic is something that would go really, really well with Lego, because it's a bit crazy, and that's like as well the Ninjago themes. Lego tends to really go well with these crazy futuristic things, and it's futuristic, it's piratey-ish a bit, and it just has this very, very unique vibe. So I just wanted to capture something really different, and I had a lot of fun building it, because since like the rules of what is steampunk and what isn't are a bit fuzzy, I could just pour all my creativity in it, and there were really no limitations. And I know some people already mentioned that it might be a bit hard to build a balloon part that is really light enough to stay on top, but I think that's really not a problem, because you could also add like trans-clear supporting beams, and that wouldn't be a problem.
Now, Jeff, what was it about this build that first kind of caught your attention with it?
Everything. I am a huge steampunk junkie, and I was on ideas, and I was just like, what's this? And then I took a deep dive, and I think I stayed on the page for about 4 hours just looking at it all, and made sure to vote for it, because oh my god, I want this. And I had like so movies are a big thing with me, obviously. I talk about movies a lot. There was this horrible Three Musketeers movie. The movie was bad. It was awful. But they had airships in it. And I saw this and I went, oh my god, that's like this close to, you know, how the movie's airships were depicted. And then I went further back and like, what was the movie? I can't remember. But there was a ship like this. And it's just like, okay, this dude and I are going to get along great, because this is just... It's not an IP, that's for sure, and that's awesome, because we need less of those. But this thing on its own is just wonderful. Like, I want to see the world that this comes from. I want to see the nation that this comes from, obviously with the blue and white flags and like what their world is like. That's just storytelling in one image right there of like how you can think of what these guys' life is like and everything else. And the fact that you highlighted the captain of the boat with gold goggles, as opposed to everybody else who has the standard gray or whatever on their helmets, you know, is just, that's a nice touch to detail that I don't think a lot of people would get, because you're zeroing out, like, these people have roles, these are characters, these are, or whatever. So I have to ask, what's the captain's name?
Well, thanks again for appreciating the attention to detail, because I was really thinking about how to make these characters look unique, but I didn't give them names. So if you want to, you can name him, but I didn't really think of a name.
Oh no! Don't give Jeff that much power.
This might just be your chance now.
Oh well, I'm gonna call him Ian McLeod. That's his name.
I mean, it's a fitting name. I can
you
live
go.
with that.
I really like what Jeff touched on there with the idea of storytelling, which is one of the things that has always appealed to me about Lego steampunk builds. Is whenever I look at them, most of the time I do want to know more about that world. And I think it's the combination of kind of the unique looking, vehicles, airships, and that sort of thing, and buildings, and then also the parts that are used, a lot of that gold and brown. And there just seems to be so much story there, and you always want to dive further into it. And I think you've captured that well. As we were going through the photos earlier, I saw that there's interiors on this ship, so it's not just this beautiful creation that you see from the outside, but there's actually it looked like a captain's quarters with maybe like a map in there or something like that, and then you've got the cannons that can stick out and everything. So there are so many different kind of playability elements and storytelling elements to this build.
Yeah, for sure. And the captain's quarters took me quite a while to design because I really wanted to nail the look of the three big windows. For some reason, I thought I would look good, and it turned out well. And I also wanted to do the balcony because it's after use in several movies. I just saw what's it called, the Immortal Engines, and this one was a movie as well which had great design, but the movie itself was not that great, just with the Three Musketeers movie. But I took a lot of inspiration from movies like that.
It's awesome, man. Just like Joshua was saying, like we're talking about now, the inside is just so well done. It matches the outside of the ship itself, which is so rarely done with like Lego projects or Lego builds at all. Like usually people will have this great big fancy thing on the exterior, and then the interior is like, well, here's my steering wheel from 1982. But this thing is just wonderful, dude. It's a perfect play set for kids that want to explore their imagination. And it's perfect for adults who are big fat nerds that wear black t-shirts. And they just want to, have it like hanging out next to like their Imperial ship from the pirates back in the day, and just feeling like this is my universe that I'm making. It's just great, dude.
I would also go with it great color-wise because it's also white and blue.
Yeah, exactly. It works out for everyone.
When you're designing an airship like this, what is the toughest design element? Is it the ship kind of whole section itself, or is the balloon section, was that harder for you?
It was actually the balloon because and to get the ratio right, to make the balloon the right size, and to acquire the right size of the with a certain amount of pieces, and because I'm building digitally, but I also really try to make it. But to build it in a way that is stable enough that it could actually be built, apart from maybe that you had to add some support beams as well. But yes, designing the balloon was the hardest bit, and I also did several different versions of that till I arrived to the one that I chose to use.
I'm always interested with a design like that balloon structure. What is that like internally there? Is there a lot keeping that together, or is it pretty much just the outside sections that hold themselves together?
Right, because I wanted to make it as light as possible. It's actually not that thick, but inside there are like rings of hinges, hinge pieces connected together.
That's awesome. That makes perfect sense. Now that I'm looking at it and use my big brain, that's about the only way to do it.
Yeah, it's completely empty. So apart from the rings of hinges to make it as light as possible.
That's awesome, dude.
Now, have you imagined it all, or maybe even started working on kind of an enemy airship like you had with like the old kind of pirates and Imperial sets, where you would have like the different color schemes for the good guys, bad guys type of idea, where it was like similar designs and stuff, but in different color schemes, and creating more of that storyline around this type of build?
Well, I haven't thought about that yet, but I have to admit that like the final design, the blue and the white, is partially inspired by the Caribbean Clipper, because I tried different colors and then this one worked for me, and I thought, hey, why not use the one that we already had? Maybe it makes some fans happy. There's definitely room for more projects in this world, especially because you could do so many different things with steampunk.
Yeah, it's great. I like the fact that most steampunk builders, as far as I've seen, they always try to go for the airship, and it's either hit or miss. But this is like the blueprint of like how to make a successful airship. You got to update it to colors and whatever else you want to do to it, as far as like weaponry, quote unquote, or like propulsion. But this to me is like the blueprint of how to. So it's awesome, man.
Thanks, man.
And then the other project that's already at 10,000, I wanted to make sure we talked about is another one that is very near and dear to my heart, which is the castle theme. That's a theme that I've talked about many times on live streams and in videos here on Beyond the Brick, how much we need a really good, solid castle theme to come back here. And I think a design like this would certainly be an excellent start. So this is your King's Castle project. So again, I think kind of like we were talking about with Western, is this something that kind of harkens back to your childhood and wanting more castle sets?
Yes, definitely. And especially, I think there is a need for a castle that has a more realistic approach. I'm fully aware that this is not a realistic castle, but when compared to some of the later Lego castles, it's definitely a bit more realistic. It has the lower part and then the keep on top of a hill. It has the realistic drawbridge, and unfortunately, I was a bit limited by the total piece count because I'm not supposed to go over 3,000. So the interiors are a bit lacking on this one, but I just wanted to nail the look from the outside. And yes, maybe there has to be a downsizing process if Lego actually wanted to produce this, and or maybe they would just go over 3,000 pieces and add some interior as well.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, also the fact that on the reverse side of this thing, when you see it from the front, that's the stage, that's the good side or whatever you want to call it. But when you show the back of it, it looks like a builder who's built this can easily add on to it. Like, it's not something that, like, people will be too, like, not encouraged to do. Like, it looks like you can add on to it. We've just got the blacksmith shop, so we've all learned how to do toreador building, so we could easily add on to that section and make it larger, which is fantastic. That's one of the better parts of Lego Creations, is that you can add on to it and improve it or whatever else. But the fact that you've got a working drawbridge, you've got the working iron door there, dude, that's just fantastic. And the interior is whatever. We can add that however our own. I mean, everybody that watches this channel and everyone that's here right now has buckets of Lego, and we all know how to make chairs. It's all good.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's the original idea of Lego, right? So I think sometimes people tend to forget that you're supposed to like add stuff or make it your own creation. I mean, it's tempting because there are some really, really great sets and you just want to buy them, build them, and put them on your shelf. But yeah, for sure, you could just add your own interior if you wanted to.
Absolutely. That's the best part about Lego, like you just said.
And did I see a trap door there in one of those previous photos before the throne? That's always a fun feature.
Yeah, it goes like straight down from front of the throne down to the jail. That was like really important to me because that's like some classic cartoonish castle thing.
It's when King Joshua is sitting in his chair and Knight Jeff has to report on a Lego thing, and if he doesn't agree with me, I just go through the trap door. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
That's exactly right. And it's also, I think it's a great throwback to things that Lego themselves has done. So I think about the old Fort Legorado set that had that element in the kind of general's quarters there where you could drop the guy into the prison while playing cards and that sort of thing. So it's that sort of design is also a great throwback to some of the stuff Lego has done. Another thing that caught my eye with this design is how you integrated it with kind of the rock work and the natural surroundings of it. So we mentioned your rock work with the Goldmine earlier, but I think this is also really well done because I think something a lot of castle builders do is it's just kind of a standalone building and you forget about kind of the natural surroundings around it sometimes. But I think you've incorporated this really well to kind of, it also gives that kind of sense of height. Like you said, you've got the tower up top and then it comes down to the lower section. And so you immediately create a nice setting that really pulls you in and makes you want to explore more.
Yeah, for sure, because that's essentially what a castle is, right? If you look at European castles, like the main thing they all have in common is that they are built on a hill, because that was just like for defensive purposes the best place to build a castle on. And I mean, not most, but some Lego castles really forgot about that. But like the hill and the keep on the hill is like the important part.
Absolutely.
When designing a castle like this, where do you typically start in terms of the first section you want to get right, and then building out from there, and kind of the types of pieces that you wanted to make sure you incorporated to give it the right look?
Well, in this case, I started by building the gatehouse because I thought the size of the gate somehow set the stage for the rest of the build because it had to look right. And then after building the gate, I built the mountain part, and then the rest was assembled around that. And of course, I had to check if all the buildings I wanted to put on the mountain really fit there. But I think I reduced the size actually of the mountain during the building process because I was getting too close to the 3K part limit. And yeah, but the resized version worked out.
Yeah, that part limit I'm sure keeps you having to be super creative. Is that something you find yourself running up against pretty frequently with your designs, and then having to kind of rework stuff to stay under that?
I used to, yes, but then I realized I should just had to think change the way I'm thinking about the building process. And when I built a Stagecoach, I was intentionally building something rather small because I realized that most idea sets currently are rather big. And it's first of all, it's not really realistic that Lego is going to put out like a 300 euros or dollar set every half a year. And then I thought about maybe all the Lego fans who would maybe appreciate that they don't have to spend that much money on bigger sets. So I intentionally tried to design my latest two projects a bit smaller, so the Stagecoach and the new Discworld.
I appreciate that fact. As far as price range goes,
you don't want to have to spend $350 for every idea set, Jeff.
Oh man, my wallet's been bleeding pretty dry lately. I've been to the Lego store a couple of times, and just it's not good, dude. It's not.
No, there is something to be said for some of these smaller designs. I think we were talking about this when we were looking through the Bricklink Designer Program sets that they announced recently, and there are some good ones in there that are much smaller. And it's like, not everything has to be $100, $200 plus, cost. It's good to have some lower price point things in there, both for kids who obviously have less money and just adults who don't want to be spending crazy amounts of money on every set they buy. But then again, with these larger piece counts, you get really awesome designs like this in the airship and stuff. So you certainly can get your money's worth with some of these designs as well.
Yeah. But just from the perspective of the builder, I just participated in the space contest, and you were limited to 250 pieces, and that made me really, it made it a bit hard. But then again, it was a lot of fun to create a small scene with just so few pieces.
Awesome work. So I think this one in the airship have reached 10,000, but then you also have your Viking set is in review. So when will we get word on that design and what might be happening there?
I think in May, right? I'm not quite sure because I think the next review is due in May.
Gotcha.
Or June, yeah.
Also, I'm still going to vote for your Discworld builds, by the way. Those are fantastic.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it.
They're a great series. So.
There's so many great designs you've gotten. I think fans have certainly appreciated that. You see with how many have hit 10,000 here, and how many more designs you have that are already very much on their way to that. So it's been great to see kind of your success on the platform. And I appreciate the fact that for the most part you shy away from IPs, because I think that's something that Ideas consistently needs more of. Is not just another sitcom or movie type of thing like we've seen a lot, but some more of these original ideas, original themes, whether they kind of harken back to old Lego themes or completely new stuff like the Steampunk Airship. That's what always draws my eyes. So I'm glad you're doing that. Keep up the great work.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks for having me again.
For sure. And like I mentioned earlier, for the current projects from Brickhammer, you can find a link in the description of the video. Go over, check those out, and support any of them that catch your eye and that you think would be cool. Help them continue to reach 10,000, and hopefully we'll start getting some official sets from some of his designs here soon. So yeah, it has been great to chat with you. Thanks so much for joining.
Yeah, thank you.
And Jeff, thank you for joining as well to give your thoughts and share some of your enthusiasm for these incredible designs.
Hey, thanks for having me, and once again, man, thanks for building. These look great. Take my money. That's all I can say.
Oh,
no, I think we lost Jeff's camera. Anyway, that'll wrap it up for us there today. So thank you everyone for watching, and we will